Hard to believe, but one voicemail shattered everything I thought was solid.
Stage 4. Terminal. Maybe 6 months.
That's what the doctor said about my father, the man who raised me alone after my mom died when I was 6.
He never remarried.
Said she was it for him. Every baseball game, every school play, every scrape knee, Dad was always there. Quiet but steady.
My anchor.
When I told my wife, she barely looked up from her phone. That sucks, she muttered.
But we're supposed to go to Cabo in June. Can't your sister handle this?
I don't have a sister. I told her I was taking time off work, maybe indefinitely, to be with him.
She scoffed. You're seriously giving up your job? For this?
He's old.
People die.
The words didn't sting, they echoed. I realized then, she never really knew me. Or worse, didn't care to.
That night, I sat in Dad's hospital room, watching his chest rise and fall. I knew what I had to do.
Even if it cost me everything else the first few weeks, I told myself it was just temporary.
The long nights, the hospital smells, the bruises on Dad's arms from IVs.
But it wasn't.
This was the new normal.
Feeding schedules, medication alarms, changing bed linens at 2 a.m. I became nurse, driver, counselor. Sleep was a memory.
My body ached. My mind frayed. She stopped coming around.
At first, she blamed work. Then said my energy was too dark. I miss the man who used to laugh, she texted once.
I read it between doses of morphine in lukewarm soup.
3 months in, she showed up to the house unannounced.
She didn't ask about Dad. Just stared at me like I was a stranger.
I met someone, she said.
He's not drowning in all this. I want a divorce. I didn't argue. Didn't plead. Just nodded.
Dad was in the next room, calling my name through the cracked door. I walked past her without another word.
Some things are worth breaking for. The nights grew quieter. The machines beeped softer, like they knew. We'd sit for hours, me in the chair, Dad in his bed, just talking. He told me stories I'd never heard. About how he met Mom in a library.
How scared he was the day she died. How he almost gave up, but stayed for me. You were the reason I got out of bed, he whispered once. He asked about my childhood, if I ever felt alone.
I told him the truth, no. He was always enough.
He chuckled, winced, then looked me dead in the eyes.
I didn't build an empire, son. But I hope I built a man. He reached for my hand. His was dry, paper thin. I'm proud of you, he said. You stayed. When it mattered. I nodded, too choked to speak.
I didn't know then that he was preparing something. Not just goodbye, but a legacy.
One that would change everything.
We buried him on a Thursday.
No choir, no suits.
Just me, a few neighbors, and the smell of cold soil.
She didn't come. I didn't expect her to. I went home numb. Grief, I'd learned, doesn't always scream.
Sometimes it just sits with you, quiet, constant.
3 days later, I met with Dad's lawyer. I thought it was paperwork. Closure stuff.
But instead, he slid over a folder.
Your father owned 3 rental properties. Stocks in a medical firm. A stake in a logistics company.
Estimated value, just over $4 million.
I blinked. You're mistaken. My dad worked at a hardware store. The lawyer smiled. He was the store's owner. Quiet about it. Frugal. But very deliberate. He handed me a sealed envelope. Dad's handwriting on the front. For when you're ready to live again. Dad's letter was handwritten, neat, steady. Like him. I kept the money quiet because I wanted you to grow without it. Strength doesn't come from comfort. You proved me right. He wrote about love, about loyalty. And about her.
She saw only what you could give, not who you are. That's not love. That's convenience. I read it twice. Then again. That night, my phone rang. Her name lit the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. This time, I answered. Hey. I heard about your dad. I'm sorry. And I made mistakes. Maybe we could. No, I said calmly. You made choices. I did too. Mine were about family. Yours were about escape. But we had something, didn't we? We had a moment. And it passed. Silence. Then a sigh. I guess you've changed. I looked around the quiet house that now belonged to me. No. I just stopped explaining myself to people who never listened. Click. I left my job 2 weeks later. No grand speech. Just a quiet resignation and a long walk to my truck. I kept Dad's properties, but I didn't stop there. I opened a non-profit, part community workshop, part job training center. We fix things. We teach. We help people stand on their own feet. I invested in green housing. Sponsored scholarships. Rebuilt the porch where Dad used to sit every evening with coffee in silence. People ask why I don't live larger. I just smile. Growth isn't loud. Sometimes it's in choosing peace over revenge. I still visit his grave every Sunday. No flowers, just updates. Last time, I stood there a long while, the wind quiet around me. I whispered, you were right. Only the hard times show who stays, and who was only there for the comfort. And me? I stayed. And I became the man he always knew I could be.